Men who have been proposed to by their girlfriends. How did you feel about it? Pretty good about it, I guess, because I said yes. Even better now, because 20 years or so later I get to say, hey, this was your idea. I made all the first moves with my boyfriend, and whenever I express any sort of exasperation with him, he loves to play the back quote, this was your idea card. It was humbling. She had a learning disability and wrote, and then read out loud her proposal. She was terrified of blowing it, and it was the most important moment in her life. We were both in our 40s, and I was blown away, because after being with her for 7 years, I didn't know how important it was to her. We're in our 60s now. Still humbled. Heartwarming story. Nice to hear. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I feel like I've started the day off right reading that one. So I was the girlfriend. He glowed for days afterward. Looked up the statistics, and glowed some more. He didn't care that it's typically the guy's job to do the asking. He was too busy being overwhelmed by the fact that I love him enough to ask. This is beautiful. Gender roles don't just hurt women, they also take away opportunities for men to feel, or admit they want to feel, what women are allowed to supposed to feel. Such as, excitement that someone in this world loves you. I agree wholeheartedly. In general, we focus so much on women's emotions that we completely disregard men. It's so incredibly important that we make sure the men in our lives feel loved, appreciated, and valued too. I make a point of doing little things to show my love for my husband fairly regularly. I get the reward of seeing him turn into a blushing mess, and he gets a reminder that he is cherished. Okay, so a few weeks after we met, we were taking a shower together, and she corners me and says, so are we dating? Are you okay with us dating? It's okay if you say no. Will you go be my boyfriend? Of course, being the absolute specimen of a gentleman that I am, /s, I say, well, you caught me with my butthole out. I can't say no. Fast forward 4 years. We are camping. The nearest town is 60 miles away. The car is a few miles away. It's cold, and I'm changing clothes. I'm butt naked in the tent. She says, so baby, I've been thinking. I say, oh lord, let me at least put my pants on. She says, could you see yourself marrying me? Have you thought about it before? Will you marry me? I said, well, you caught me with my butthole out. I can't say no. She thought that was hilarious. Then we had a good long chat about it. On track for getting married in April. I think it's pretty cool that she did it both times. Definitely made my life easier, and I'm sure I'm underappreciating the clarity. Edit lol, I can't wait to read all the comments. I read a few so far. I look forward to the laughs. Can't wait to show my fiancée. She's gonna be embarrassed. I can't wait p. Lol, I like this story. Especially the part where his butthole was out. Woo. Who won? I can answer. I was ecstatic to be engaged to her. I was planning on acking her in 6 months time too. So it worked out. She did it on my golden birthday at a music festival. So needless to say, I was quite inebriated. Right before she did it, we sat on a bench and she asked me, so, how are you feeling? I replied, fucked up. Then she got on one knee, and I started crying. It's 2 years later, and we are still doing the same shenanigans without the proposing and crying. I feel a complete indifference that she was the one to do it. People are almost always shocked when they hear it. Except my dad's family, they're so open and awesome. But honestly, with my semi-apparent commitment issues, I may never have done it in the long run, who knows, so better that she did. What's a golden birthday? Edit. Just googled it like a nerd. It means your day falls on the day of your age, like, if it's your 15th day, it's on the 15th of the month. I think. Damn, mine is already over. Just awesome. The most curious thing was that when I told other people we were engaged, about 80% of the people would ask, how did you propose? And then I had to explain I didn't. Just curious, do any of your male friends / family give you shit about it? I'm considering proposing to my BF, but I'm not sure if he'll feel emasculated. Edit. Definitely wrote immaculated instead of emasculated, so sleepy. Edit. We have talked about marriage and we both see each other at our life partner, but he has a lot of insecurities financially and a few emotionally. Divorced parents at a young age, when they were both poor. I've been trying to gauge his interest in when he feels that he'd be ready for marriage/proposing, but I honestly think he has so much emotional baggage that he'll always be searching for the perfect time, that is, when we both have stable jobs and potentially own a home. I agree that financial stability is very important and can destroy marriages, but I also believe that we can be married and go through growing in our careers together. We're kind of mid-level right now, so it's not like we are struggling that badly for money. I also don't know whether or not the perfect time will come for him, or whether it's really more emotional than financial. Like, if we both land amazing jobs, will he suddenly want to get married? Or was that just a cop-out answer? We've talked about this before too, and we both think going to a therapist would be helpful. I've just been thinking that if we already know that we'll be together and have talked about kids and are on the same track about financial decisions in the future, there's nothing holding us back. We've been living together for over a year, which in hindsight is not that long. I also hate that I feel the need to pressure him about proposing when I can just as easily do it. Also, if he says no, maybe that's a good sign that he never would have been ready. I live in the Netherlands and have some very open-minded family and friends. I can imagine things are different and more difficult in other parts of the world. However, if he's the one you want to be with and he knows what he's getting into, he shouldn't be upset about you asking him, should he? Close bracket. Our agreement was that my GF could propose whenever she felt I was taking too long. Perhaps you could suggest something similar. I was made the happiest man that day, twice. Long story if you are interested. It was the day of my final exam of my 3-year apprenticeship. She took the day off and was more nervous than me when we had coffee together. I was sure she was nervous for the same reason as I was, and didn't pay much attention as my mind was occupied by the exam. 2 hours later, I passed the exam, and we were standing outside with a colleague, having a smoke and talking, and another cigarette. I was just so relieved, and felt light as air and happy, to not have a single thing on my mind. Then I did it. My girlfriend though was shuffling her feet, not really taking part in the conversation. After what must have been hours for her, she asked what I wanted to do. Going downtown, shopping, or grab something to eat. I didn't care at all. She drove to the record store first. We walked to the window to have a look at the record players as we were thinking about getting a new one. How do you like that one? She asked, pointing at one in the back. There was a sign next to it with my name on it. And bright as I said, it has my name on it back quote. What else? It had "Let's Face the Music and Dance" written on it. I just stared blank at it and then at her, having not the foggiest. She said, now that you are a technician, I wanted to ask you if you also want to be my man. I said I would love to. Hugs and kisses. When I looked at the player again, I noticed 3 of the staff standing behind it, smiling and cheering with a bottle of champagne in glasses. It was her 11th day. Edit. Thanks for your comments. I feel like I should also post a link. Edit 2. Why back quote all. Just imagine what would have happened if had failed at the exam. Makes me shiver. We eventually would have married anyway, but things would be a little different in some ways. Ha. My now husband, I'm also a husband, was as clueless as you when I proposed. He's a big beer nerd, so I worked with a local brewery to relabel his allotment of a new beer release. I designed elaborate bottle labels with a proposal full of beer puns. We went to the brew pub with some of our closest friends to have some beers while he picked up his allotment. I encouraged him to check the bottles, and I got down on one knee, waiting for him to figure it out. He removed a bottle and looked it over for a moment, then slid it back into the box and said, "Huh, they put my name on it. That's something." While I stared in disbelief and our friends laughed their asses off, I insisted he look again. Eventually he figured it out, called me an arsehole, and said yes to cheers from the entire bar. I proposed to my girlfriend, now fiancée, the other day, but my friend told me today that if his girlfriend proposed to him, he would say no and then propose to her the next day. Seems kinda stupid when the question's already in the air, but to each their own. He would say no and then propose to her the next day. Unless he says no in a way that clearly indicates what he intends and subtly gets her approval for it, I can see that going in some very unfortunate directions for him, starting with her being totally heartbroken and maybe not ready to get on board with "it's just a prank bro" a day later. Yeah, I can only see this going terribly. Not me, but my mom proposed to my dad because she got tired of waiting for him after they'd been going out for almost 10 years. He was casual about it and was like, "Sure, I'll marry you." My dad was always shy and my mother more direct. They'd known each other since they were 15, so they'd been together for so long they kinda forgot about marriage. They've been married for 30 years now and still going strong. My husband and I are a younger version of your parents. He's shy and withdrawn, and I'm loud and outgoing. I asked him to marry me after 6 years of dating, from 13 over 14, and he was very quiet a moment, long enough for me to get worried, because he likes to think everything through. When he finally answered, it was just this quiet, deliberate okay. From the outside I know it doesn't sound whirlwind romantic novel, but it makes me smile ear to ear at the memory. We are celebrating our 11th anniversary in October, and we are still so in love with one another that it's actually kinda embarrassing. Or what? So cute. My GF walked up behind me while I was cooking, hugged me, and said, "What would you say if I asked you to marry me?" I said I'd probably say yes. We've been married 22 years and I'm still waiting for her to actually propose. You need to start hinting. Openly look at engagement rings and wedding dresses. Leave web pages open with most romantic places to be proposed to at the front. Turn other engagements to your advantage. Mask your engagement desire with celebrity commentary. Hint through the grapevine. Have her plan a romantic getaway. Wear your prettiest dresses to dinner. Women have a hard time with subtle hints, but if you combine methods you can get her to propose. Remember, De Beers recommends a ring at least worth 3 months of pay, so don't let her get away with cubic zirconia. /s. I pretty much just quoted various Cosmo-esque websites for that. Edit. Format.